Okay, guys, I wasn't planning on sending this or posting this video up today, but it's a pretty short, quick one, and I wanted to make sure to pass it along because some of you might be using Photoshop pretty regularly and would benefit from this. So I want to pass it along in case you can use it right away, and it shouldn't take that long to transfer the information. So this is a tip that was shared to me by a photo retoucher friend of mine. I spent a little time in his studio over a year ago now, and I just was looking at his workflow a little bit. Unfortunately, I wish I had a lot more time with him, but it was just one afternoon, and he passed along a couple quick tips. Um, Kind of like, I assume you know this, and I really didn't know that about setting up curves in adjustments in Photoshop. And this one here, it's beautiful. It just takes a little explanation to wrap your head around. I think most of us are familiar with curves, at least a little bit, and adjusting images, contrast, and stuff like that in Photoshop. I found this image today. I was working on this for Jessica, and Jessica shot this picture for displaying her lovely little field guides for Omnitel to use in a portfolio piece. And I looked at them and just thought, okay, they probably need a little bit of warmth. They look a little cool. That might be true to their color, but I'm gonna assume that it's maybe a little warmer texture color in reality. And even if it isn't, I have the artistic liberty to make adjustment like this. And I think it looks a little more appealing. Um, so I will walk you through how I set up the curves so that it makes sense to us as designers. Working in RGB color space can be tricky to figure out the channels and how to make an adjustment in the red, or removing some of the cyan, adding some magenta, that kind of thing. So the beauty of, I'm going to start over with a new curve adjustment. So go to your little effects panel down there. My drop down is dropping out of the window, so just load up a curves adjustment layer, and we'll go up immediately into the curves display options. So click on this little button here. My window again went out of the box so you couldn't see it, but look for curves display options. And what you will have by default generally is the display or the curve displayed in terms of light, and these ramps will go the opposite direction. What I want you to switch it to is pigment ink percent, and you'll see as I'm switching that the contrast is inverting. The dark is at the top now and over to the right, and we want that to be on pigment. So what that means is we're going to do a little kind of mental gymnastics here to try to understand the red and green and blue channels as representing cyan, magenta, and yellow. Black is just going to be the density, lightness, and darkness, so we won't affect that or won't change that. That's going to be affected basically by the main curve overall. But our color adjustments are going to happen in the cyan, magenta, and yellow channels, and you'll think of those in terms of these three, RGB. So if I want to change the cyan, I'll go into the red channel. I know that's a little bit non-intuitive, but just think of RGB and make that swap in your mind as representing CMY. So let's go to, and they're in the same order, so that makes it a little easier. So let's go into this one. If I want to lower the cyan, I will put my point in the middle here somewhere, and I'll start to drag down. You'll see I'm taking cyan out of the image and effectively boosting the or revealing more of the magenta. So if I just wanted to do that um, alone, that might help, but maybe I want to actually increase the magenta and not just reduce the cyan. So I'll go to the green channel. Again, that's the second one on the list. That stands for M, or stands in place of magenta, and I will increase that. You'll see that I'm getting more magenta as I go up. So I might just move that up a little bit. And if I decide blue again, I want to reduce yellow, then I'll reduce yellow. And you'll see that I'm getting it cooler and less yellow in there. If I go up, I'm getting more yellow. And trust me, it just works. I don't know the science behind it, but once you get your head around this, it's extremely useful. Now, if you want to adjust the contrast, we can go back to just the RGB channel, and it's going to adjust overall contrast without affecting your individual color channels. It won't diminish or ruin the color correction aspect of what you've done. So I'll go up here and say I want to place a point for my shadows over here and then brighten this whole thing and get some more contrast. Then I'll steepen my curve to add more contrast. But you'll see those other color adjustment channels are staying intact in the background there, and we haven't lost anything. So now the difference between before and after is that, and I think, at least to my eye, that's a more pleasing image. And that's a whole lot easier than having to go into third-party tools and do some kind of a workflow to automatically color correct, or look at a whole list of thumbnails to compare adding cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. This should get you on your way to helping you a lot. And for us print related designers, thinking in CMYK is just a whole lot more intuitive than RGB. So I hope this helps you guys, and let me know if you have any questions. Come see me anytime and bug me with any questions if something's not clear. I'd be glad to help. Thanks.